It's been about 15 years since I did an article for Sportsman's News on 72-hour kits. In that time, I've done hundreds of seminars and workshops on creating your own kit. The problem with many of the kits that are for sale in the market is that the quality of the components is typically poor and not well thought out. The 72-hour Pro Kit from Uncharted Supply Company is a well-made kit that covers your basic needs for 2 people in an emergency. It's contained in a waterproof bag with padded sternum straps and a waist belt with 2 small side pockets. The bag is roomy enough to include extra items to make yourself comfortable in an emergency. Inside is an organizer to keep all of the items easily accessible. This organizer folds open to let you easily see everything inside your kit, and it has individual pockets that are marked to clearly identify the contents. On the outside of the bag is a mesh pouch to carry the included 48-ounce stainless steel bottle. There are a variety of attachment straps on the bag for hanging extra gear. I've added some carabiners. Inside, there are items to cover warmth, shelter, water, food, first aid, and tools. Let's look at some of the items that are included in some more depth. The first aid kit is more suited to minor boo-boos than major injuries. It's sufficient for very basic injuries, but there is room inside for additional items, and I would definitely add some analgesics, some anti-diarrheal, and some medications that you may need. I'd also add a couple of ABD combine pads and more 3x3 gauze pads, some rolled gauze, and a tourniquet. There are some elastic loops on the shoulder straps, and one of them is red. This would be a great place to carry a cat tourniquet where it's quickly and easily accessible. Otherwise, the first aid kit is in an organized pouch similar to a military IFAK, and it has MOLLE attachments on the back for easy carry options. In that organizer pocket, there are 2 extra Mylar emergency blankets, some antibacterial wipes, and a tube of SPF 50 sunscreen. Right there. There are some basic tools, such as a folding shovel and pick, that'd be good for digging a fire pit or for making a cat hole for going to the bathroom. They've included a fixed blade knife with a full tang and a really grippy red rubber handle. I don't know for certain what type of steel it's made from, but I'm assuming a 440 stainless so that it needs minimal maintenance. The knife sheath is nylon, and it comes with a whetstone and a ferrocerium rod for starting a fire. There's also a hank of 550 cord and a flattened roll of duct tape. For warmth, they've done a really good job of sourcing some excellent options. There are 2 acrylic beanies to keep your head and ears warm. There's 2 pairs of waterproof gloves, and they're insulated, and I really love this type of glove, and these are the types of gloves that I put in my own kits. There's also some large air-activated warmers and a Mylar tube tent to get you out of the rain. For food, the selection is pretty paltry. They have 2 packs of the Datrix Lifeboat bars that each provide 2,400 calories. They don't taste very good, and they're like eating dry crackers. I would toss in some granola bars and jerky, and the zippered pocket on the front of the dry bag would be a great place to keep those handy. There's also a pocket organizer that's labeled Air and Vision, and this is where Uncharted Supply Company was really thinking. Inside are some decent sealed goggles and some heavy-duty masks with extra filters, and even a piece of extra Velcro to extend the attachment straps for those with larger heads. There's also 2 green Chem Lights. These are all often overlooked items, but would be excellent for getting out of a building after an earthquake or a man-caused disaster or fleeing from wildfires. And I keep the goggles in these bags to keep them from getting scratched. There's a lot of uses for these items, and they're part of the suggestions that FEMA puts out in their CERT program. For water, they include a stainless steel 48-ounce bottle, and I like that the lid is also stainless steel, as I've dropped and cracked many plastic caps over the years. There's a small Sawyer water filter with a 16-ounce bladder. The Sawyer is a good filter, though take the 100,000-gallon claim with a grain of salt, as they've not been tested to failure. They'll also fail if they're dropped or if they freeze. If either of those things happen, make sure to boil your water rather than just rely on the filter. I'd also add in some aqua tabs just to be safe. There are some elastic bands in the organizer, and they include a flashlight, waterproof match case filled with Lifeboat storm matches, 3 AAA batteries for the flashlight, though it's marked for a lighter, and a cheap Chinesium multi-tool, and a crank radio that has a light, a solar panel, and will charge your phone. The radio has some good features, but it doesn't seem like the build quality is all that high, and I don't know if I would count on it to survive very long in an austere environment. But it does have AM, FM, shortwave, and NOAA weather frequencies, and it can charge your phone. It has an internal 2200 amp hour 18650 battery, so you can charge it every year, and it should maintain a charge pretty well so that you start out with a full battery. The multi-tool is pretty low quality, and knowing how much I use this single tool, I would immediately replace it with either a Leatherman Wave or a SOG Power Access. This one item is probably going to see some hard use in an emergency, and it needs to be reliable. For under 80 bucks, I can get a rugged tool that I've tested and I know it will work. The tool included with this kit can handle minor tasks like turning a screw or opening a packet of jerky, but I wouldn't rely on it for heavy use. The kit is pretty comprehensive, and since I do seminars on building kits, I may have a more critical eye than the average Joe and Jane. But even as comprehensive as this kit is, there are a few items that I would add. The first glaring omission is toilet paper. These small campers rolls from Coughlin's are a great addition, and they take up minimal room. I'd put them inside a small waterproof bag. I'd also like to see a small backpacking stove like this Jetboil Stash, and make sure you add a canister of isobutane and propane mix. It isn't always prudent or possible to build a fire, and when you're cold and wet, you can't overstate the benefits from a warm beverage like instant coffee, hot chocolate, tea, or even just hot water with a bouillon cube dropped in it to take off the chill. Toss in a small Ziploc bag with some of those items too, and keep them with your other snacks. And even though there are waterproof matches in a case and replacements in the tool compartment, I would add in a small Bic lighter and some Tinder Quick from SOL. These will light from just the flint striker on your lighter if it runs out of fuel, and it will burn in the rain and wind for about 5 minutes. I'd also add in another 3 AAA batteries for the flashlight, and make sure to replace those every year when you swap out your smoke alarm batteries. And no kit is complete without a bandana. This one piece of gear has so many uses that I consider it essential. I really like this kit overall, and I think that it would be a great place to start if you're not too keen on building your own kits. Get one for every 2 people in your household. Open them up and try out all the contents and take it out of its added packaging to minimize weight and space. Though other than a few pieces of plastic and cardboard and some silica gel packets, the extra packaging is pretty minimal, and that's also a great thing about this kit. Sportsman's Warehouse has several different kits from Uncharted Supply Company, as well as a wide selection of products to build your own kit. And remember that September is Emergency Preparedness Month, so there's no better time to get started on being more prepared for your family. Sportsman's Warehouse is your emergency preparedness headquarters. Get prepared at your local store or online at sportsmans.com.